Well, welcome back. I'm 𝗣𝗶𝗱. In this video, we got a little mini bike I got. Well, it's actually almost full size. It's full size for me. I'm a little shorter though. And it's a 𝗣𝗶𝗱 Storm DLX 125. I'm going to go over the whole process of ordering this thing, where we got it, how much it cost, and shipping and all that, and setting it up and getting it street legal. So stick around and enjoy the video. Well, so far so good. The package looks pretty decent. I don't see any major holes in the box. The mini bike we got recently for my son, back of the box was kind of knocked open. You could see a tire, but there was no damage whatsoever on it. This is just a top flap. There's another layer below here. So pretty happy with this so far. I live out in a pretty remote area, so when they called me this morning to tell me they could deliver it, I said just keep it at your delivery yard. I'll pick it up after work. So load in the mini truck. Here it is. I usually would get my excavator out to lift this stuff. I didn't have any help today. I didn't feel like fussing around with the excavator. And keep in mind, this bike is about 180, I think they say on the website. Well, we're gonna measure that in the video, make sure. This crate and everything here is about 220. That's the same weight as my 2014 XCW 200, my KTM trail bike. So this bike truly, when it's out of the crate, is gonna be 40 pounds lighter than that. Looking forward to that for some trail riding. So that's cool. I ordered blue as my first choice. Second choice was black, so I'm happy with either, but I got the first choice here. So here it is, the Storm 150 DLX. It's funny, on their website they say 181. On here on the box is saying 176. Gross, I think, is once it's in a packing crate, because there's a metal crate around here. Yes, of course, you're not gonna get a bike with $300 shipping totaling $1,150 and be made anywhere else. But just because it's made there doesn't mean it's not gonna work. We'll see how it does. That's what this whole video is all about. See if it works. It looks like this thing did not have a rough ride at all. Shipping crate's nice and sturdy. Front forks are bolted in down here. The components look good. That little pit bike I ordered from a different company, they probably all come from the same factories, that I got for my son recently. Really surprisingly good build quality. And cool things like his bike and this bike both have metal skid plates, which is nice. I've even seen plastic skid plates on some like 200cc dual sport Yamahas and Hondas. So, and the foot pegs on here, they're pretty meaty. I've had a lot of dual sports over the years, 200s, 250s, 225, stuff like that, Japanese bikes. And back in the day, foot pegs used to be pretty narrow, and you would have to get on weld-on cages, especially if you have a bike that doesn't super common for makes and models. We're going back 15, 20 years of dual sport riding. And these come with really good foot pegs, folding shifter right off the bat. Nice beefy frame. It's like the rim didn't get bent up or anything in here. I did order a spoke wrench because even Japanese bikes, you're supposed to, when you're breaking the wheels in and everything, they're supposed to true them up. Make sure they stay tight so you don't break any. But the exhaust actually is pretty good on this thing. Little stainless little insert and end cap. Went for the 150, has a lot of differences. This has a stainless header. 25 cc's more than the Hawk 125, I think. This one also comes with an aluminum oil cooler with braided steel. So far, there's the key right there and ignition. All right, let's get this thing uncrated. And man, even that little hardware, the headset looks pretty good on there. I was hoping these would be adjustable. It didn't say they were, but I think these are just air vents on the top. But one cool thing about this bike is it's got two different sets of locations you can mount your handlebars, further back or further forward. And I think those are even adjustable too. And the shock mount has two different level positions. One right here and one right here for shorter riders or taller riders. With this 150, they claim is like a 34-inch seat height. We'll see. Turn signals, all that stuff, all LED. All right, let's get this thing out of the crate. So I have to say the shipping crate was put together really well. It's all bolted together to the lower frame, all steel. Everything was put together in there with heavy-duty zip ties. Definitely shipped pretty well. Nothing got busted up, at least on mine. But I'm thankful no forklifts hit it either. So I sure hope this bike works out. That being, isn't too many problems. All motorcycles require a lot more maintenance than any car does, but I've had bikes since I was 8. I'm 42 now, so it shouldn't be any different maintaining this. Chinese stuff has come a long ways. Thinking back before I ordered this, I was on the fence, but I was like, I don't know about that. But then, thinking back on 20 years ago, I bought a Chinese scooter. I couldn't afford a good Japanese one. Bought a Chinese one, tricked it out, ordered a bunch of parts from Germany. It turned out it had a Yamaha jog clone engine. Put a 70cc cylinder kit, expansion chamber, tricked out the transmission, bigger carb, carbon fiber reeds, and that thing would fully pull wheelies and keep up with most cars, like pretty fast cars. I had a guy try to drag race me out of the light with the V8, and up to about 30, it was keeping right up with them. I think it surprised the hell out of the guy. But after that, it would only pull about 54 tops. But it's pretty good for a little 70. Thinking back, that was 20 years ago. The quality has to come up since then. They've been building engines for years, and they're manufacturing more and more engines for more and more countries and more motorcycle parts and pieces for bikes. I mean, even KTM, I believe, is getting at least one bike made over there. So there's not many 150cc or 200cc bikes that are pretty small. I'm 5'7", so I want something that's small and light. Like I said, my KTM's 220 pounds, always been a little big for me. I've had TW200, XT225, XR650L, DR200, bunch of different bikes. The idea of this thing being like 176, it said on the box, 180, we'll wait and confirm that. But that sounds pretty good to me. Smaller seat height, I'm alright if it's only a 150. Hell, I've rode a DR200 all the way to Montana and back. I'm in Western Washington. 2-week dual sport trip with bags, just stay off the beaten path. Not planning to ride this to Montana, but just around here, riding to town, rip some trails, go grab some groceries, run home. Fuel economy's got to be 80 to 100 miles per gallon. We'll check that out as well. So the way these handlebar perches are, this is the center hole to mount it. It's actually offset. It's not in the center. This is the bolt to mount it. So you can put them on here. You can rotate them and bring it back. You can put it up here, or you can bring it forward. So you actually got 4 different mounting places, which is kind of a cool feature. Probably would like to stretch out a little more, so I got one more position here. We're going to be running blue Loctite on all the hardware we're putting on, plus we're going to go through and put blue Loctite on some of the other stuff, make sure everything on this thing is tight, and keep checking it as we're breaking in the engine. Another thing I want to check and show is this is a magnet here I grabbed. Aluminum handlebars, aluminum crossbar. These got some weight to them. They're pretty beefy, but again, they're aluminum triple clamps, aluminum forks, aluminum top cap here. And these guys, I think, are stainless because they don't have much pulling force here compared to like that. You know, this actually takes a lot to separate, and stainless is just slightly magnetic. You can see. So that's kind of nice. They provided stainless steel hardware with this thing. So just for the record, I want everyone to know I paid 100% out of pocket for this machine. Nobody contacted me for the company. Got my son that little bike and then wanted to get something possibly for myself to ride around with him. So I got this thing, and no one's paying me to make this video. Just wanted to let you know that. The crate, I did notice that whoever put the seal in here kind of put it in canted at an angle. So I got a socket here that fits in. I'm just going to tap that down until it's flat, and I'm going to tap the other one in. Other than that, haven't seen any major quality issues yet. So, not just this bike, but all bikes, it's a good thing to put a little grease on your axles. Because if you don't, you put them in here 6 months later, 8 months later, you go to take the wheel off, and the axle will be kind of stuck in the bearings and seized on. They did come with this tube of blue grease, but I'm just going to use this red stuff I have, and pack a little bit in around the seals here. Keep water from getting in there, and keep them lubed up. And these have 2 different length spacers. There's a short one and a long one. I believe the short one goes on the non-disc side, so we're going to insert that. Long one goes on the disc side. Another thing that's not bad to do is I'm going to spray a little brake clean on a rag and wipe over the rotors and spray off the pads. There's always a little bit of shipping grease on stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little on those. People talk about the brakes need to break in, which I'm sure they do, but if there's any type of packing grease whatsoever, it's not gonna help the braking on this. So I'm gonna clean those off, grease up the axle. So they have these bikes, some of them on Amazon, some on eBay. The reason I didn't order through those sites is I hear that a lot of times when you order the bikes, you get taxed. And when you go to register them, you get taxed again. I didn't want to get double taxed on it. And dug around a bunch of different sites, came across one, Power Sports Max. Their website looked like it needed some updating. It looks like it was like 15 years old. I thought this site looks sketchy. But after reading some forums, people said it was a pretty legitimate site, and actually you could find somewhere to contact them and call them. They weren't the nicest on the phone. They were all right, but they would get back to you and answer the phone, so I decided I'll go through them. So here we go. Here's where some of the terrible fitment comes in. There's 2 pegs for this front number plate holder. See the width of the pegs and see the width of the holes. So what I'm going to do is put some pliers on them and bend the pegs in so they'll fit, both of them fit in those holes. It looks like this one got welded on the way out, but they still look like they changed something on the process of making this, and the fender's too narrow or those are too wide. So hopefully we don't come across any more stuff with weird fitment, but I'm going to work with it. So I was able to grab some pliers and bend those pegs inward, mount it. I still had a crappy weld on the thing, so decided to contact the company because they have a first 3 months you get the bike. They'll replace bent up or wrong fitting parts and just different things that weren't right on it. And they actually got right back to me and said it's back ordered for 10 days, but they'll send it out to me as soon as it comes back in stock. So that's pretty good. Man, whatever company built this framework here, of course they got those holes off, and I could see these welds were just on there terrible. This little tab where this hose hanger sits, and it was butter metal. See that? Like terrible weld. Hopefully the rest of the frame looks pretty good. Whoever contracted out to get this, that thing just fell off of there. So I'll weld it on later. I just want to get the bike running and see what else we need to do. Not the best, like I said, but the rest of the welds on the bike look good. I have no complaints. All the welds look completely fine. Like I said, they bought this component, probably mass produced from another company or so, and it's just kind of scabbed together. So we can weld that little quick weld and that'll be fine. I want to point out is some of these main looms are rubber sealed in the back, and they got seals up here and then the other side. Some of these ones are not sealed, and the other ones, like there's another sealed connection, there's another rubber sealed connection. They got gaskets in here too. So I would say half the connections up here are rubber sealed. Looks like all the ones that go up to your turn signal switch up here are rubber sealed. This is kind of a nice, really big adjuster. All really nice rubber coating boots on here, a big adjuster for your clutch. And the Speedo is rubber sealed connections. Little digital dash there. So we'll come back to that dash in a little bit. I'm actually pretty impressed with it. It's almost about as nice as the one that comes on my Grom. The Grom sells for like, I think 36 MSRP, but really it's hard to get them out the store for less than 48 to 5,200. So, you know, some comparable parts I'll show you in a future video about between this and the Grom. I know they're different styles of bikes, but they're still small, like 125, 150 size. I had a little bit of difficult time getting the wires through this like rubber wire condom thing that covers all the connections, and make sure it's up enough to clear the headlight here. Again, buy yourself some blue Loctite if you get any type of pit bike. Just drip a little bit on each bolt and put it in there. You're going to thank yourself in the long run. You're just not going to have to worry about, you know, parts and pieces falling off of these things when you're out on the trails and stuff. And I'm going through right now and blue Loctite in those forks, the clamps. And also, if you tighten those clamps down too hard, sometimes you can bind the forks. So I went through and made sure they're torqued to how I want them to be. Final bolt, putting a little grease on it, and then a little blue Loctite on the pivot point for the suspension, and we should be ready to check it out. This thing's got ridiculous ground clearance. Oh, can't even quite sit flat-footed. The seat's rock hard. Whew.
Yeah, I know. I felt that. Man, I thought for sure you'd be able to touch the ground.
Well, I got heels off. I could lower it down a little more. I think I'll keep it like this for the ground clearance for hopping over logs and stuff. But that's a pretty good size, man. Got roll up the handlebars a little bit, take some slop out of the throttle, and put these on, drain the oil, and I'm gonna go fire this thing up. Nice, dude. So I'm pretty sure all these little pit bikes and all the dirt bikes coming from China are all shipped with packing oil. It looks like regular oil, but I think it's just to keep the rust off inside the motor, mainly to probably keep the wet clutch hydrated with oil. And so I'm putting some good 4-stroke oil in here, something that's not going to affect the clutch. You don't want to just use regular automotive oils because there's got friction modifiers and things. So I mean, this quart of oil is like $6-7 out at Walmart. So treat your bike to some good oil and make sure to do common oil changes on it. Don't run them into the ground, and it should last a while. I hear chains and batteries on these pit bikes are kind of garbage. They're just to kind of get them out the door. So I actually got a good arcade chain coming. They're not that expensive, and I got a really good battery coming as well. Looks nice. It's in kilometers. I think to reset this, you hold this button down That resets the tripometer. Okay, odometer, hold it down. There you go. Once it's in regular odometer mode, not tripometer, you hold the button down, it goes to miles per hour. All right, let's see where the choke is. Guess up. We gotta get some gas in here. That's one thing I forgot to do. All right, put a little bit of non-ethanol gas in here, put the little vent on here, and then we'll fire it up. All right, I think kill switch is on. I think you gotta pull the front or back brake lever in to get this to start, because it won't go until you do that. So choke's on. Oh, gotta turn the gas on. That will help. Give it a moment for the gas to get into it. Check the air filter. We'll probably pull the air filter off and oil it at some time the next few days. Okay. Oh. Turn the choke off and see what we get. All right, there we go. Ooh, I got something going there. Just let it sit there and warm up. I cranked it over for a little while with the choke, what I believe is on. Yeah, must not want to run with the choke on. That's fine. It means it's probably jetted rich enough. Nice little display. Got a tripometer and the odometer here, voltmeter and a tach. Neutral light. Let's see what we got for light. See if the lights work. Of course, the headlight's not turning on. Let's see. Turn signal. Turn signal works. Turn signal light works. Rear tank signal works. That side. That side. All right. Oh, lights on there. I don't know what. Oh, high beam. That's what that is. High beam, low beam. Let's see if that high beam works. High beam, low beam. There's that nice LED headlight. Who knows if it's very bright. Lights off. Lights on. Running light. Let's see if the brake light works. Yep. Let's see if the pedal brake light works. All right, I'm gonna shut it off and check the oil, because I'm sure that oil cooler takes a little capacity as well. So we're gonna double check the oil, and then we're gonna just start kind of heat cycling it and breaking it in. Of course, I gotta cruise it a little bit, but over the next few days, we're gonna start it and cool it down, start it, cool it down, and just try to break in the engine. I'd like to see what we can get out of this. I'm not just gonna start railing on it right off the bat just because it's a cheaper bike. So everything I gotta try to take care of for the most part. So check the oil, and then we're gonna take it out for a little cruise. But you can see it's totally dark outside, so probably have to bring you guys back tomorrow when it's light. And of course, after work, unfortunately. Darn. All right, so I just put some air on the tires. They were low. The front only had a few PSI. The back maybe had 8. I put them about 18 for now. Added, I don't know, 90% of this port in there, and it's about full. See if it kick starts. It's still cold. I only ran it for that 2 minutes, 3 minutes, so. So that's not smoke coming out, that's just cold condensation. It's cold out, you know, moisture in the air. I'm spraying a new bike in the can. If you don't got this product, I definitely recommend looking into it. It makes the mud not stick so bad at the bike. The mirrors on this thing, and my dad pointed out he's got a Kawasaki. What do you got?
𝗣𝗶𝗱.
It's like Kawasaki mirrors, and I was looking at them. They're pretty darn close with styling. Just a little different, a little slimmer. Said just a little bit different, just enough not to get sued. All right, I'm gonna put these mirrors on now. They got an L for the left side and an R for the right side, so we're gonna put these on. It's December in Washington, so everything's wet. Got some mud on it. Just trying to break it in, just riding it like quarter throttle. But it actually has a little bit of grunt, pretty good. Looking over, I'm pretty sure most of these pit bikes and the 250s are all steel swing arms. It doesn't mean it can't be light. It does sound pretty thin, but steel. So I knew the swing arm was steel. Muffler housing here, of course, is aluminum. It's all stainless through here. Rims, I knew going into it, were steel. It'd be a nice little way if you could get some aluminum wheels laced up on here to lighten it. Steel skid plate, but it's really thin. I think I'll just keep that. oil cooler. It actually got warm when I was warming it up, so that works. And sprayed everything down with a little new bike in a can. It gives a little bit of a coating, so it should wipe off a little easier. Sprayed under all the fenders, and I got my paperwork. Came this thing they kind of held at the shipping yard over the weekend. I really wanted to get it together, but got the bike in here tonight, put it together, and my paperwork showed up. So I'm going to take it to the motorcycle shop tomorrow. I guess they charge 50 bucks and inspect it. The tires do say DOT on them, so let's cross our fingers. Inspected, and the papers to make it a dual sport. And after that, I think the ladies at the titling place said, Jez, bring that inspection paper from the motorcycle shop down, and we should be able to do it all in one time. So got the certificate of origin, I think it is. I'll show you guys the paperwork and what I have so far with it and what I get to get it titled. All right, excited. I just stopped by motorcycle shop, loaded the bike up last night in my mini truck. Took it to work earlier this morning. On the way home, just snuck into the motorcycle shop right before they closed. Got it ready to go to get the plates on it. So in Washington, if something's considered off-road use, this didn't say motorcycle on the certificate of origin that the company I ordered this from sent me. It said off-road use only. And so they sent me the bill of sale from the company I ordered on the internet and the certificate of origin. I'll put some pictures of that stuff with some stuff censored out of it. Of what I got from the motorcycle company. And then I went to the motorcycle shop. Guy was pretty cool about it. Asked me what kind of bike. I was like, you guys will probably frown on it. It's a little Chinese pit bike. It's like, oh, no big thing. We went out there. He really liked it. He's got a 𝗏, so he's like, oh, this thing's pretty damn cool. So looked over, made sure the blinkers, horn, lights, tail lights, and all that stuff work. And for $57, they wrote out some stuff on a piece of paper and gave it to me. And everything now I just need to take down to the licensing place in Washington here, and they should be able to register my name and issue me street plates with this thing. So now this can't work in all states, so do your research on it. But even if a bike says off-road vehicle use only, this is going to be considered a street motorcycle or a dual sport now after this point, because it comes with everything down to the reflector below the tail light. I started reading what you really need for Washington state law, and it's got everything needed for a street and off-road bike, but for some reason it's not certified for that in all states. So hopefully get plates, and the next update I'll be bolting those things on here. All right, got the paperwork to register the bike. Head to the courthouse, see if it works. So I'm gonna ride up to the store, get some gas in this thing, and then head up, do a little gravel road ride, and I got 14 miles on it so far. Neat thing about this is it's got a little gear indicator right here. Let me shift it into first here. There's first, second, third, fourth. Pretty neat. Got your kill switch up here. Interesting thing to note about these bikes is it won't start unless you pull on the front brake or put on the back brake. So see nothing? Warming up the bike, I'm gonna tilt it up. I got a scale here, and we're gonna see how much the bike weighs. It's got a quart of oil in it and about a half a gallon of gas, so we'll figure that out. So it's not completely wet, about almost half a tank. So we're gonna pop it up on here and see. Okay, now we're gonna shut it off. Gotta see what this thing weighs. $187, $188. So, and I should be around 160-ish. 159.9. That's. So I just added it up, and a quart of oil weighs roughly around 2 pounds, maybe a hair less. And it's got about a quart of oil in the engine, and I have roughly about half a gallon. And I looked up gas weighs about 6 pounds roughly a gallon, so I got about a half gallon of gas. So that puts us around 6 pounds here. So we got like 187, 188, and we kind of got the scale balanced out there. So it puts the bike at 182-ish maybe, give or take, you know. That's pretty good. It said 181 on the box, so they're pretty accurate on that. Definitely some things coming up in the next video I want to do to lighten it up more. I got some parts, aluminum parts I'm going to make on the lathe. And I got a few nicer things to add on, which will add a little weight, but it'll protect some of the parts on here better. So definitely next video, we got a whole bunch of upgrades coming for this thing. I'm looking for it. It'll be budget upgrades, but they'll be well worth it. Another nice thing about this bike is it didn't come super loud, which is nice. Like, got a little grunt, but it's actually not air piercing, so I'm happy about that. That little whine sound is plastic guides. The chain's a little loose still, so when you're off the throttle, you hear that kind of a little buzzy sound. So I got to re-gear this bike because it revs out pretty quickly. I think it probably tops out maybe 50 at redline. So I don't know if you can hear me with the wind sound, but I checked this with my odometer, and this odometer is really accurate. Maybe only half a mile an hour off, or if not even that. So we are truly doing 35 with a GPS on my phone. So 35, 36 is around 6,500. I would like to be on 40 to 45 at that. I wouldn't mind to be getting it geared up so I can do about 8 grand doing 55. I think it redlines at 10. Still trying to take it easy on the revving right now just because still breaking in the engine. I do wish this thing had a 5th speed, but it is what it is. There's not much you can do about that. You can get a 5-speed transmission. They're in the 190cc engines, and you can get a 212cc. If I was going to jump up, I'd probably just do that. They're about the same cost. Much higher compression ratio. I think about 11 to 1. And I think you can get the bikes to do about 80 miles an hour. I've seen a dude to put a 212 in a Trail 70, and he was pulling wheelies at 55 on it. So those are 5-speed manuals. But the problem is those engines cost about, the cheapest you get them is about the cost of the bike, about $850 for that engine. So if you really like the bike and 4 or 5 years down the road something happened to the engine, I can see doing that, especially if you got some like aluminum rims laced up or something. But it's kind of hard to justify it on a tiny bike, which it is what it is. You know, it's a small bike. It's never going to be much more than that. But I kind of got it for certain characteristics and certain riding styles. Yeah, put 1 gallon in it. I think it holds 1.5. Head up this road a little bit to get onto some gravel roads. Probably no trail riding today. It's pretty cold out, and I got some family duties back to do at the house. Watch the kiddos, and we're gonna go for a little gravel road ride. And next video on the update on this thing and some of the updated parts, we're gonna do some full-on trail riding with this and see how it holds up. So far, it feels kind of like what I was expected to be if it turned out to be a good bike, and it feels better quality than I expected. Not Japanese, but not that far off from like small Japanese bikes. Not like super expensive, but like kid bikes and 125s and 150s. Not that far off. Engine seems like it's getting smoother as I'm running it and various RPMs of raking it in. Here we go. Pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with this. I mean, it's never going to take the place of a full-size motorcycle. It's not going to have the legs or the suspension or the just weight and power of a full-size motorcycle. But yeah, I've ridden a lot of 2-stroke scooters in the past, and I've had smaller bikes. I've had some big bikes too, but I wanted something small to jam down little roads like this, ride some trails. I got a lot of back roads and ride into town, go get some little groceries, and all in all, just a micro dual sport that's a fuel sipper. I got the 𝗏𝗏. I like the 𝗏𝗏, but I kind of could see riding this thing a lot more than the 𝗏𝗏. Yeah, feels pretty damn good.
pretty steep right here. Bike goes up no problem in a second.
All right, hope you enjoyed that video. Here's that embankment I was climbing up and down. I know it doesn't look very steep on camera. This bike is, so far, let's see, we got 28 miles on it. I know this isn't really a good shakedown for it yet, but I got a lot more videos to come. GoPro's almost out of battery, so I'm gonna try to wrap this one up. The next video, we're gonna be, this one just kind of covered purchasing, where I purchased, setting up the bikes will kind of last longer for you, and what I had to do for Washington. Now I can't say this is going to get you through every state, so do your own research and don't contact me asking me how do I get it licensed in Illinois, because I don't know. You do your own research. But got this bike all licensed now, and next video probably putting out in a little while is how it's holding up at whatever mileage increment I'm at, and a bunch of upgrades. Got a lot of upgrades. Some are cheap, some are a little more expensive, but even if you get an expensive bike, you might put a high-end battery in it. I hear a lot of these pit bikes, the chains and batteries are crap. Both of them are working, but I don't expect them to last too long. So I got a really nice battery, chain, a bunch of other upgrades. Some are parts I'm gonna make myself out of aluminum. Some are parts you can buy on Amazon, eBay for cheap. But overall, we're gonna add a tiny bit of weight to it by changing a few things out, but then reducing weight in other spots. And then we're gonna go over the bike, how it's holding up. And you know, for a little tiny micro dual sport, ripping into town and back and driving gravel roads is kind of why I got it. I'm not going on any long out-of-state trips with it. Can load in the back of a truck if I really want to, but being a dual sport, you shouldn't have to. So it's the beauty of a dual sport. I haven't had a small one like this in a long time, and I've had my KTM for XCW for 4 or 5 years now. I've been kind of debating about going back to a 4-stroke. This is an only 4-stroke. I actually got a bigger Chinese bike, a 250 coming in. And so keep an eye out for those. It's gonna be a Templar 250. So keep an eye out for that video. And you know, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Oh, I don't think I included the bike wheelies pretty damn well. That's a lot of fun. 32 miles. So now it's starting to really look like a dirt bike, you know. Got some mud on it. First decent ride. Oil cooler actually gets hot, does its job, gets some mud caked on the motor. One thing I forgot to mention about these engines, in the past, you'll see them in trail 70s and stuff like that, 90s. They always seem like low tech. You can actually squeeze quite a bit of power out of them. The cool thing about keeping the cylinder horizontal rather than vertical, keeps all that weight that would be up here down. Makes the bike even feel lighter than if you had higher weight, you know? So some benefits of that. I noticed that on an old Suzuki quad I had. It was like a 230 or 250 engine like that, and I was like, whoa. Bike feels really light up high, or the quad did. So yeah, no bolts that I can tell fell off of it. You know, I went through and Loctited a bunch of stuff for like the subframe where it bolts on is all nylock nuts. Bunch of things for like the brake hanger and all the brake stuff, and the master cylinder. All that stuff is nylock, so they thought through that. The crucial parts that might fall off of here, it's probably the little accessories that need to be gone through, but pretty good.